Hi, everybody. Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. Before we get into today's topic, I just want to point out that by the time this airs, it will be close to, if not the time's finished, with regards to this comic book uh, CBCA awards. There, I can't remember, Comic Book Community Awards. And what I wanted to do just before we get started is to remind people, if you haven't voted yet, please go vote. I especially want people to vote for Stephen Gettner and Alan the Comic Collector Geeks Monday special. That's the big one we've been trying to get because Stephen has done so much for this comic book community. He has written books. He is a contributor to the Overstreet Price Guide, which is one of my favorite books to begin with. And they really deserve it. They put a lot of effort in, and certainly they invest a lot of money in the books that they show. So, if you do not vote for anybody else that I would recommend, please vote for them. And I would really appreciate a vote for most informative in the 500 and 999 category also, because that is one that although I don't need to win awards in my life, I just think that it is a great category for what I do, and I work hard on this, and it's just nice. It's just nice to know sometimes people like what you're doing, and I appreciate everybody. I'm not doing this for an ego boost or anything like that. I'm simply trying to. It would be really nice. If there's any category that I would like to win, it's the most informative. I've put a lot of research, and I do this mostly to show people how cool comics are. I do this in order to show people what comics are capable of, and I do this to show people the true love of the medium. I love comics. I think people have figured that out by now, but I'm just so glad to show books and to talk about books that I throw my heart and soul into this. So, anyway, thank you very much for those that have watched. Thank you very much for those who have voted. And as I said, the voting ends sometime in August. So, by the time this airs, this is scheduled to air in late July. Um, it'll be getting close to the end. Anyway, how are you today? Today's topic is going to be a fun one. Due to the fact that this particular character is going to be going up in popularity due to the Superman movie, and if you haven't seen it yet, go. Um, it's people like us that if we keep going to see these movies, they'll keep making them, and I want to see more Superman any day. Now, the character I want to talk about today is a favorite one of a lot of people out there. I'm talking about his pet dog, Krypto. Krypto made his debut in Adventure Comics 210 in March 1955. So he actually straddles that line between Golden Age and Atomic Age and Silver Age. He shows up just before the Silver Age, which is interesting in itself. That's how old the character is in terms of continuity. He was created by Otto Binder, Kurt Swan, and Cy Berry. Originally intended to only be a one off story, fans liked him so much that they sent so many letters that they wanted to see him again that he returned 4 issues later in Adventure 214. People just loved the dog. And what's not to love? Look at this. Hey, this is Superman 680, a nice Alex Ross painting of Krypto. Isn't he cute? I am not a dog person, but I like Krypto. They were testing so the story is that testing prototypes for the rocket that would send Kal-El to Earth, Jor-El decides to use Krypto as a test subject and puts him into an extended cryogenic sleep in the rocket. Krypto's rocket unfortunately is knocked off course and it doesn't return to Krypton, and it's lost for what is considered 10 Earth years, and eventually lands on Earth. Being from Krypton, of course, Krypto gets the same superpowers as Kal-El and other Kryptonians. Krypto is drawn as a generic pedigree. Okay, no specific type of dog. When not with Clark, he spends most of his time romping through space. He is a member of two organizations, the Legion of Super Pets in the 30th century and the Space Canine Patrol Agents, which was actually kind of funny. They were cute little stories. I don't have any of the original prints, but I've read a lot of the reprints of these over the years, and they're just cute little stories. Krypto was given, however, Krypto was given amnesia, and he wasn't heard of, or he did not appear in a book for 3 years, starting in 1971. In 1974, in a Green Arrow story in Action Comics, which ironically and coolly is also Mike Grell's first time drawing Green Arrow, Krypto returns, and that's when they discover he was suffering from amnesia and didn't know to come back to Earth to explain his absence. The main thing I want to show today, other than here's Krypto number 1. This is a mini series that's current right now. By the time this airs, issue 2 will be out. Krypto was the subject during the Superman family years from issues 182 to 192 of his own little stories. All these stories were written by a man by the name of Bob Tumoy. And it is this series that I'm going to take the time to show today. In the majority of the stories, he teams up with a detective by the name of Ed Lacey, and that's a name you should remember because if the rumors are true, he'll be in the movie. Again, I'm recording this before the movie, so by the time this airs, we'll see if Ed Lacey's in the movie or not. But Ed Lacey is a private detective who befriends Krypto when Krypto is working on a movie set. What I'm going to do now is give quick synopsises of all the stories from that series. The first book from that series of him is Superman Family 182, and as you can see, Krypto's here on the cover. Romping through space like he likes to do. Of course, I don't know how they're doing it with Lois and Jimmy, but anyway. So, in this one, with the book, the story is called A Bad Day for, oh my God, Matt, for Junkie in Blue. Writer Bob Toomey. Pencils done by John Calnan, and inks are done by Bob Smith. This is an April 1977 book. The Dog of Steel stops a couple of bank robbers and restores the confidence of a junkyard dog. And yes, it is Junkie in Blue now that I read this. Which brings us to issue 183, which is Love and the Single Dog, again written by Toomey, pencils by John Calnan, and inks by Tex Bladesdell. June 1977, Krypto remembers his old flame Chelsea and comes to Earth just to see her in time to save her from a fire on the movie set she is starring in. Krypto is then written in as a co-star. Issue 184 of August 1977, Bone of Contention is the name of the story. Bob Toomey, pencils by John Calnan, and inks by Steve Mitchell. Krypto stops a thief from trying to steal a dinosaur bone from a museum. Now, unfortunately, I would say Krypto is not on every cover. And in some cases, like the cover here of 185, he's only like in the corner, which is too bad because Krypto deserves bigger billing than that. Issue 185, The Stray Super-Dog, Bob Toomey, And it's penciled by Juan Ortiz and inked by Steve Mitchell. This is October 1977. Krypto helps foil a dog napper and makes a new friend by the name of Ed Lacey. That's the detective I talked about. This is his first appearance. And as I said, the rumor is he's going to be in the movie. Let's see what happens. $185. Where's $186? Is that out of order? Yes, it is. Here we go. $186. This is called Gunfight at the Canine Corral. Written by Bob Toomey. Juan Ortiz does pencils, and Vince Coletta does inks for the story. December 1977. Ed Lacey gets a job in Krypto's movie, and Krypto must find and save him from a killer. Issue 187. There's Krypto again right there. It's funny how he never quite gets the top billing, even though in a lot of these issues he's the third or fourth story out of 6. 187. Double Trouble. Bob Toomey, John Calnan did pencils and inks. After making his first picture, Krypto needs to choose whether to stay in Hollywood or help Ed Lacey find his missing nephew. This is February 1978. Issue 188. Look at Krypto at the top here. He's so cute. Riding the Rails. Bob Toomey, and pencils and inks done by Juan Ortiz. While Krypto and Ed are hitching a ride aboard a boxcar, the Dog of Steel must save the train from being wrecked. It's funny trouble follows him wherever he goes, eh? Poor dog. Issue 189. The second fastest dog in Oregon. Bob Toomey. Juan Ortiz does pencils and inks. This is June 1978. Krypto races against Commotion, known as the fastest dog in Oregon, while Ed Lacey tracks down clues to his nephew Tommy's whereabouts. Later, Krypto is mysteriously teleported away, thus leading to a really cool... If you're going to buy any issue, this is the issue to buy. Why? Because every feature is involved in this storyline. It's called The Museum of Eternity, and Krypto's story is part 4, and there's Krypto there with Supergirl. And his part is called A Cage of Light. I'm not going to describe all the stories. Suffice to say, I'm just going to do the Krypto part. But if you're going to buy any of these books, buy this one because it's literally a 68-page big story that is really cool. Okay? The Preservers, who are the big bad of the book, place Krypto in Kandor, where Superman, Nightwing, and Flamebird find that he is small enough to pass through the barrier, keeping the city captives. He regains his powers when he goes to a Yellow Sun city and happens to find Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane there and attempts to bring them back to Kandor. As it's shown in part 5, he's successful. Of course, after all, the heroes always win, right? Bringing us to issue 191 of October 1978. The Hunters, Bob Toomey, and pencils and inks by Juan Ortiz. On the trail of Ed's nephew Tommy, Ed and Krypto encounter a killer trying to also find Tommy. Tommy is being blamed for something he didn't do, and so Ed is trying to find him because he had to go on the run because the Chicago mob is after him. Which brings us to the final book of this run. This is issue Superman Family 192, December 1978. Ed and Krypto, the name of the story is Requiem in the Rain. Bob Toomey and John Ortiz does inks and pencils. Ed and Krypto finally track down Tommy and Joe Skinner, but find that a mob hitman has been sent to kill them all. This is, of course, they're not successful. Krypto manages to save the day. This is the last of the Krypto stories, and this has also been the last appearance ever of Ed Lacey, to my knowledge. I have not been able to find if he had been in a story ever since. All we knew about Ed Lacey as a character was that he lived in Hollywood at the beginning, and that he was considered to be Krypto's owner during the time period of these stories. Now, I love these books. And eventually, Krypto goes back to Superman, and you see that actually in a couple issues of Superman Family later. But this is the end of the Krypto stories. They were fun, nice little 6 to 8 pagers. They weren't anything to write home about, but they were nice little feel good stories. The romance between Krypto and Chelsea, by the way, was very interesting because it became a love triangle because Chelsea also liked the dog, who was Krypto's alter ego dog when he became a dog named Jock when he wasn't being Krypto. And that's why I said Ed was his later owner, because Ed was Jock's owner. So I hope you enjoyed this today. I like doing these little vignettes into little things that not everybody is aware of. I want people to read books. I want people to love books. If you like what you've seen here, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel below. I really want to hear what you think of these stories. I want to know if you're a Krypto fan. And by crypto, I don't mean I don't mean the cash, the online currency. I mean Krypto the dog. He's the best thing ever. So thank you very much for spending time with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. My name is Matt. I like comics, and I hope you do too. Bye, everybody.